Thanks for joining us this evening, everyone. My name is Chris Kaplanis. I'm here with my wife, Elizabeth Kaplanis. We are the co-founders of RTA Triathlon, based in Ridgewood, New Jersey, just outside of New York City. We're also joined by your race director for Ironman Lake Placid, Greg Borzilleri. He's going to be available to chime in and give us any insight on the course as we go along. But we have a course preview ahead of us, as well as strategies and tips specifically for this race. And so, again, who am I? Who is Elizabeth? Why should you listen to us? The two of us are the co-founders of RTA Triathlon. We're professional coaches. So basically what that means is since 2010, all we have done for work, our living, has been coaching triathletes, regular people just like yourself. We don't work with professionals, but it is our profession. And Lake Placid happens to be our home away from home. We have a townhouse there, so we spend a lot of time in Lake Placid in the surrounding area. And so we've become very familiar with the course. We've raced it, I think, a combined 10 times between Elizabeth and myself. And we host a whole bunch of different 3 different training camps in Lake Placid every year. So again, we know the area. We're very friendly with many of the locals there, including Greg, who is local to Lake Placid. So that's a little bit about us. You can check us out more on our website, rtatri.com. And then I would love it if you would give us a follow on Instagram or Facebook. We post a lot of good videos and things like that, tips on training, racing, and anything applicable in that nature. So before we dive into this, just a little bit about the people behind the coaches. Here's a picture of our family last summer in York Beach, Maine. We like to spend a week at the end of our busy season
you're
here
all
on the
right.
beach.
My previous appointment went way longer than expected, so that's
Thank you, Rachel. Once again, everyone, if you don't mind muting yourself so we don't have any distractions, that would be great. But again, this is our family from our summer vacation last year. Our daughter in front, that's Ashley. She's currently a 3rd grader. Our son, Cameron, he's in 1st grade and actually just turned 7 this past Saturday. And then, of course, myself and Elizabeth just enjoying ourselves at the beach there. A little bit about RTA. So our bread and butter are coaching programs. We work with athletes locally and from across the country to prepare them for different races, whatever it might be, whether it's triathlon, of course, or running. We provide customized programs based around your schedule, your goals, your age, all of that good stuff. And we offer unlimited communication so that we really do have that coach athlete relationship. So if things come up, if you get sick, if your schedule is a little weird, we can make those adjustments as we go along. We offer one-on-one sessions for those that are local or that might want to travel and visit us. So we work with athletes in the water for swim, cycling, and running. We do well over 100 one-on-one swim sessions each year. So basically we're teaching people how to swim or how to become better swimmers. We have a tri club of about between 150 and 200 members from across the country. Basically the idea there is that we're making an individual sport more of like a team sport. We have a team app. We offer all kinds of discounts for races, gear, things like that. We do team races. If you are going to do Lake Placid this year, and I presume most of you are, we'll have a group of about 25 people there, for example. And then, of course, our training camps. We do a destination training camp every year. Florida, Chattanooga are some of those that we've done in the past. And then we do 3 training camps in Lake Placid, one the end of May, the other the end of June. And then we do one in the beginning of August for those that might be training for later season races or perhaps considering doing Lake Placid in the year to come and want to get an early preview of the course. That's a little bit about us. You can check us out on the website if you're interested in learning more. If not, no problem. But let's meet your race director. We got Greg here. Greg has been doing this race since I think 2011. Greg, is this going to be your 15th year at the head of Ironman Lake Placid?
I think so. Yeah, Chris.
Amazing. So Greg does an outstanding job with this race. He is a resident of Lake Placid. And so he is there and actually just sent me pictures yesterday. The streets have been, or the roads have been cleaned up or started to be cleaned up for riding. The buoys have gone in the lake, not the race buoys, but there are little smaller sort of guide buoys, if you will, if you could think of like sculling or like crew style buoys, but they're tied to the cable that you might have heard of that you will swim along on race day. So if you go up to Lake Placid ahead of the race, these are great sort of guide buoys, but they were just put in yesterday. The area is going to be continued to be cleaned up between now and through Memorial Day. But Greg is here to answer any questions as we go along. So we appreciate his time and being here along with us. So thank you, Greg.
Hey guys.
Quick overview here of what we're going to get, what we're going to cover tonight. We'll first talk about on-site training and what that means for you in case you might plan a visit to Lake Placid in advance of the race, which is extremely helpful, or perhaps you're attending one of the many training camps. We'll discuss basically navigating race week leading up to the race, the week leading up to the race, and then once you arrive in Lake Placid. And then, of course, we're going to talk about the course. We'll go through swim, bike, and run. We'll also talk about the transitions, and this will all be specific to Lake Placid, of course. So I'm sure that is what most of you are interested in. We'll also hit on some race day tips and strategy specifically for this course to help ensure that you do have the race that you dream of, the race that you've trained and worked so hard for. At the very end, we'll take some questions. And so we'll ask, if you do have a question, if you could please save it to the end so that we can make sure we get through everything that we intend to cover without going too late. We want to respect all of your time. But we'll get those questions at the very end. I don't think I mentioned it, but this is being recorded. And so I hope to get you the recording out tomorrow, as well as the presentation slide. So for those that were unable to make it this evening, or if you would like to refer back to what we discussed, that will be available for you. And then you'll also have my personal email and information, just in case you have any questions or we can help you further. So let's get going. So on-site training, okay. Lake Placid is fairly unique to most courses in that the entire course is pretty much accessible and open for you to train on prior to the race. Okay. So there are no like specific road closures or crazy intersections that are only sort of opened and patrolled for the race. The course is open and available for your pleasure. And certainly training on the course beforehand is extremely helpful, right? So we all know that the bike is a pretty hilly bike, not big hills, but they can be long hills and they can come at sort of different moments on that bike course, which is a 2-loop bike course. And so riding it in advance is extremely helpful in learning how to best sort of spend your energy as you ride on race day. If you decide to go to Lake Placid in advance to train on the course, you know, just 3 very important things, right? Be smart, be safe, and be respectful. Okay. So in recent years, you know, some of the locals have been, you know, a little upset with those that are coming up to train because, you know, sometimes people will ride right in the middle of the road without realizing it because they think they're on a quiet road. And the next thing you know, you have someone that is on their way to work or just trying to pass you. And so it can cause a little frustration. So just make sure you're being safe when you're up there. You're being respectful to the area. But going through my little list here, if you're going to go up and you're going to ride or run the course, and, swimming is a little bit more straightforward, but if you're going to do this stuff, make sure you know the course in advance, right? We don't want anyone to get lost, for example, mistakenly. But you should just know the different parts of the course, even if it's through a map, or maybe you program the course in your GPS. It's important because you're going to be in the Adirondack Mountains. And when you're in the Adirondacks, the weather changes rapidly. All right. And so part of being smart is also being safe, right? And so knowing the weather and also places where you can seek shelter if you need to is very important. Okay. If it says it's going to downpour on your weather app, it might actually be a very sunny day. Contrarily, if it looks like it's going to be a nice day, there's probably going to be rain at some point, and that goes for race day as well. So make sure you have an idea of the course. If you're going to go up there, I would recommend riding with a training partner, so you have that. You don't need to, but it's recommended. Or perhaps having a friend or a family member offer SAG support just in case you need a little help along the route. Again, be safe and train within your means. Don't do anything stupid. If you've only ridden 30 miles, don't go up there and, try to ride 2 loops of the course, for example. Not advisable, especially for the first time. Make sure you're fueling and you're staying hydrated. This is very, very, very important, especially when you get into these longer distance races. So staying on your calories, your hydration, as well as your electrolytes. If this is something that you struggle with, please reach out to us. Coach E right here is an expert at this. And when I say expert, she knows her stuff, but she's also very good at simplifying it and coming up with a plan for each athlete. So fueling and hydration is not only important in training, but obviously in racing as well. So make sure you have a plan, follow it, and you'll do much better when you do that. When you're riding, when you're running, obey traffic signals. If you're making turns, make sure you're signaling, putting your arm out if you're turning in one direction or the other, stopping at stop signs, stopping at stoplights, and riding as far to the right side of the road as possible, and preferably on the right side of the white line when there is one. Forgive me, I know this is common sense, but a lot of times people are not using their common sense. And this is what leads to locals being a little disgruntled. And we want to keep this race here. Okay. So currently, Lake Placid is the longest running Ironman race in North America, and we want to keep it going. And we want to find ourselves at that 30-year anniversary in a few years. Being respectful, I've already kind of hit this. Know the rules of the road for cycling. Okay. It's simple. It's easy. You can Google it if you're unsure, but do that. I advise, having your red blinking tail lights and potentially a white light in the front so that you can be seen for your own safety. There are going to be porta-johns out. There are some out already, but they all go out following Memorial Day. So depending on when you get up there, if you do in advance, there are plenty of options. Please don't relieve yourself on someone's lawn or in public somewhere. Okay. Use the porta-johns. And if you don't see one and you absolutely have to, go deep into the woods. Don't do it on the side of the road. There's been a lot of incidents, and it's just not cool. Okay. So also be patient with the locals, right? Whether you're out for dinner or you're riding your bike or you're going for a run, you're in a mountain town, okay, in the middle of the Adirondacks. Be patient, be respectful, and it will be a great experience for everyone. Did I miss anything?
No, it's great. But I'll talk the next slide. So race week, before you get there, this is really important. Sleep, rest, recover. I always say, don't stand when you can sit, and don't sit when you can lay down. So, take advantage of that, right? You've put all your work in, and there's nothing that you're going to do race week that's going to make you any fitter on race day. You can only mess up, not make it any better, right? So definitely take it easy. Now that doesn't mean to hibernate in your hotel room. Active, recovery certainly, but think about the other things that you can control, right? Eating well, Hydrating doesn't happen the night before, right? It does take a couple weeks, right? So starting to think about increasing your water intake, your electrolyte intake, getting those levels up. Eating well certainly means, just a little bit cleaner, right? Eat what feels good and what you're used to. Again, nothing new on race day. I get the question all the time, what should I eat the night before? I really do think that carbo loading is maybe a thing of the past. Just eat what is good for you and what sits well with your belly. Eat early and chew your food really well. That's important too. Your stomach doesn't have teeth. Make sure that bike is tuned up. That's something that you don't want to wait until you get to Lake Placid to take care of. There is a shop in town, and there's 2 shops in town, and they're great, but they're overloaded with emergent situations, right? Tune-ups are not emergent situations. So get that scheduled, and you should start to think about that now, because your shops, as soon as the sun comes out, the bike shops get backed up. So schedule your tune-up. I tend to like new rubber for race day, new tires. So especially if those have been the same tires that you've been riding on your trainer all winter, or outside for months, rather than trying to clean them, just you spend so much anyway in the sport, just get some new tires. Make sure you have all of your spares and your backups, extra tubes, CO2. You want that both for on your bike as well as in your personal needs bag. I recommend that highly, because if you did, for some reason, if you have an incident, you flat out on the loop, first loop of your course and your race, now you're out of maybe your tube and your CO2. So have that backup available in your personal needs. Make a list of everything that you plan to bring. And take care of that well in advance. Lay it all out, check it all off your list. If you're flying in, make sure that, you're able to, pack it accordingly. But think about what you're going to wear, your gear, all your nutrition, your race kit. And again, also make sure that you charge all of your electronics and that you have those cables and have them with you in case, you could charge it in advance, but if something comes up and, for some reason it was left on, you've got those cables with you. So your Di2s, your watch, your Garmin, and also I would recommend clearing all the history out of that. It's not so much a problem anymore because the Garmins tend to have much larger storage capacity, but, it is something to just consider. If you've got the last year of training all stored in your watch, just clear it out. It'll save certainly to your platform, but at least the watch is cleared out and open and available for all that info that it's going to record on race day.
I think we both on separate occasions had our watch say full in the middle of Ironman. That's not a joke. That's not a joke. Good advice by Coach E. Moving right along here. So race week, welcome to Lake Placid, right? So we just spoke of the week of, but once you arrive, Lake Placid is special because everything's centrally located. Depending on where your accommodations are, you could potentially park your car and leave it there for race weekend. But pay attention to the event schedule and athlete guide. I believe last year's guides and schedule are up. It will be very similar, but there will be some fun nuances to look forward to. But make sure you're checking all, where you're going, your hotel, your Airbnb, wherever you might be staying. Pay attention to when you have to actually pick up your bib, which you have to do it by Friday is the last day, right? And then you're going to rack your bike on Saturday. So you cannot just show up on Saturday for Ironman and get your bib like you can for 70.3s. So make sure you know that schedule ahead of time and that you're there to get your stuff that you need so that you can race. All right. Again, once you get so for Ironman, if you've never done a full Ironman before, transition is a little bit different. And we'll talk about this briefly in a second, but you get bags that you're going to put your bike stuff in, your run stuff in, your you'll have morning clothes, your personal needs bag, which again we'll hit on this. It's a little unique to this particular distance, But what I would recommend, once you pick up your bib and you get all these little bags, lay them all out and put all the things on top of those bags that you intend to put in those bags, so that you make sure that you have everything you need. And if you don't, you can either hit the expo or the local bike shop to pick up any last minute things that you might have forgot. All right. Obviously you have the expo and the merchandise tent. That'll be at the Oval. The Oval, again, is centrally located. You're not going to be able to miss it. It's also where finish and transition will be, as well as your changing tents. So again, changing tents is a sort of a new piece to the puzzle. If it's your first full iron distance race, you actually have the opportunity to change your clothes if you wish in transition, rather than just going right to the next thing. That's a personal choice, but that will be available. And there's a men's tent and a women's tent. So you'll go in your respective spot.
For the expo, just like my 2 cents. Yes, it's very exciting. Obviously you're coming into town, you're going to see all the tents, all the buzz, but I would get in and get out. So it can be a real energy suck. I see always, people will go down into the Oval and they'll be there all day, going to every single tent, hitting the tent again, and then, going to all the different vendors. And it's definitely fun, but it can be really hot. And it can definitely be just kind of an energy suck. So go through there and then make your way back to, your hotel to get off your feet. It's easy to get caught up.
So one thing I'd like to point out is, so for years, Elizabeth and I have been doing a spectator meeting, okay? And we've been hosting it at a local venue, but I think this year we might actually be doing it on the stage where the athlete briefing is. Either way, whether it's on that stage or this local venue that we've used in the past, it's extremely helpful for your family, your friends, and all of your fans that might be attending to support you, because we're going to go through and explain the flow of the race, as well as the best places to spectate and how exactly to follow you on race day. It can be really confusing for people that are not familiar with Ironman and also with Lake Placid. And we're going to take them through all of that. You're welcome to attend as well. It's a free meeting. It's going to be on Saturday afternoon. I think I have some more information later in this presentation, but just check the athlete guide or the event schedule guide once that is posted. I believe it will be listed there, but extremely helpful. And we would encourage those that are coming with you to attend. Elizabeth already touched on this, but simmer on that last minute training. Okay. Stick to your taper plan. If you want to see the course because you didn't get up there ahead of time, maybe you want to drive it rather than get out there and start riding the hills on your bike a day or two before the race. I understand you're fresh and you're ready to go, and you should be, but don't waste your energy by doing something silly. You can only hurt your race. Like she said, you're not going to make yourself any fitter. So stay off your feet. Greg, did I miss anything as far as just race week when people arrive?
No, I think you got it, Chris. Obviously the kids race is a big thing. If you have kids, it's one of the biggest ones on the Ironman circuit. And, you can be bored if you just sit in your hotel all day, but the lake's there for practice, for warm-up swims and for practice swims. And there's a lot of things going on that you don't want to go crazy. Obviously you guys are the coaches. I'm just the ops guy, but we have a lot of activities that we have available to make it a special place. And it's been like that for a while. So.
Yeah, thanks,
Yeah,
Greg.
the kids race is awesome.
Yeah.
So if there are any kids in your party coming up, by all means, it's a great opportunity for them, for sure.
Yeah, our kids do it every year and they have a blast. Our kids
And they win. For some reason, your kids win every year. I don't know why.
I don't know about that, but thank you.
The other, just a quick tip, I believe you need your active.com QR code at registration. I would recommend screenshotting that to your phone. Sometimes the Wi-Fi, the internet, when you've got all the people sort of in the building trying to access that, it can get a bit logged. So just find your code in advance. You'll need that and your photo ID. And then just take a screenshot so it's on your phone. You don't have to be like connected online to present that when you're at check-in.
Yeah, that's a good point. You can also store it in your Apple Wallet on your iPhone or similar for Android. All right, so race week, a couple other things. I did touch on the spectator meeting already, but something I want to point out, we started this last year and we basically copied a long-standing tradition that is done in Kona with a coffee barge out in the middle of Kona Bay. So we brought our own coffee barge to Mirror Lake, which is this gigantic flamingo, and his name is Domingo. Okay, and so Domingo the Flamingo will be available for your laughs, fun, and perhaps a little coffee. We will have some local coffee on board and water. On the Saturday morning that Ironman is hosting the practice swim. So again, this will be in the event guide as well. But come on over, check us out. We had a blast last year. Everyone came up. We have these mini flamingos. We hand you some coffee. We might even do a contest or two and give away some stuff, but it's only about 200 yards along the swim course. Come and check us out. It'll be a lot of fun. We'll take your picture and send it to you. Spectator meeting, I already spoke about.
Chris, not to interrupt, but is there music out there, and do you allow requests?
There'll definitely be music,
Yeah.
100%, and it depends what your requests are.
Is it like at the club, if you come and slip the DJ $20, you can get your song?
There you go.
Perfect. Yes, music will be a new addition this year. And
I think we had.
did we have it?
Move?
I think we had it. Yeah, we did.
Surround sound, waterproof speakers.
So check us out. Here's our information on the spectator meeting. You can refer back to this. I have it here as Big Z's, which is that local venue I was talking about, but I think we might be doing it on the stage by the finish line where your spectator meeting is. Right now, it's tentatively planned for Saturday at 3 p.m., but just follow us on social, look at your athlete guide, follow Ironman Americas, and you'll see it. And then also one other fun thing, look out for the hype cart, okay? This Hawaiian-themed golf cart will be blaring music. We'll be ripping it around on race day along the race course to give you a little energy boost to make your way to the finish line. So some fun stuff planned, and we look forward to cheering for you all there. Okay, so let's get to the good stuff here. The course.
I'm gonna chime in, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk because I just realized that our kids are gonna be home in 5 minutes, so I have to jet. But Chris will continue here to walk you through it. But the course is absolutely stunning. You have one of the United States scenic byways that you'll be cycling on. It is really beautiful. Yes, it is challenging. It's very unforgiving at times. The climbs are real, but it's just a grind. You go down on one side and you go back up the other. So, but it's beautiful roads. So just take that in. The headwinds, crosswinds, tailwinds, there's always something. The elements, it's like, I think Chris touched on it earlier, if you don't like the weather, just wait 5 minutes. There's always something. So, be prepared for that. I think it's important to understand, in like your wheel selection, we might touch on this when Chris talks about the bike course, but, just there's a lot of gear out there, but make sure that if you're going to choose, that deep dish wheel, that you know how to ride the bike with a deep dish wheel, because the crosswinds really can be a thing. And if you're not used to that, then you're going to be pretty shaky on that bike. So the course definitely rewards patience. So, if you go out too hard on that first loop, you're going to suffer on the back end. It's a very long day. And typically it's the only day you're really going to put together the iron distance all in one day, right? You're not training this distance all at once prior to the race day. So, just be mindful of that. It is you're in it for the long haul.
With all that being said, okay, I know people get nervous, but you really couldn't have picked a better Ironman race to do.
I totally agree.
In the world, it's been around for nearly 30 years for a reason. And the other thing, just remember, you don't do Ironman because it's easy. Okay. It's epic. It's hard. You will do it, but you got to earn it.
Yeah, just respect the distance,
All right. So we're going to move into the different parts of the course as well. Greg, I'm gonna look to you if to make sure I'm not missing anything here. But basically, the course is going to be identical, if not maybe one tiny small change here or there along the bike course. But the course is going to be nearly identical to what it was last year. And obviously, we're going to start with the swim. You're going to line up on Mirror Lake Beach, right near where there's an Ironman rock there on the sandy part of the beach, and it's a 2-loop swim. Okay, so you're going to line up in your expected swim time order. So if you don't know what your expected swim time is, it would be a good idea to get an idea of what that might be, because we line up this way, and Ironman does this swim smart type of entrance, rolling start into the water, so that everyone's kind of swimming with those folks that are the same swimming ability to them. So knowing your pace, knowing your time is very, very helpful. You'll line up based on that time, and everyone will filter into the water one after the other on the cue of Ironman. And again, you're going to go out, you're going to go around, you're going to put your feet back on the beach. You can grab a sip of water, and you're going to jump right back in. Don't think about it. Just go right back in and begin that second loop.
If you haven't, I'm sure, you've heard of the cable, the underwater cable. We kind of had touched on that earlier. There is physically a underwater cable that you can see if you're swimming, that it's going to keep you in a straight line. It's basically connecting the buoys. That will be the busiest part of the course, because everyone's trying to get on the cable so that they can swim the straightest line. You can swim 5 deep, 6 deep, 6 like wide of the line and still see the line. So don't feel like you have to be on the line. In fact, I think that sometimes going a bit wider of it is more to your advantage, because you don't swim into the buoys. So, it's great if you wanted to follow that line, but then you're going to bump into these big, huge, massive triangular buoys every, however far. So I would suggest swimming a bit wide of it. And then, of course, you must go around the turn buoys at the far end of the lake. You can't cut on the inside of them. And then there will be, I believe, rest rafts. If for some reason you have a little bit of an issue, just make sure you peel off to the side, get out of the way so you're not, hit from the back. And if you need to float on your back, or you need to just take a minute, that's why you're in a wetsuit. It's going to help keep you, on the water. Take that moment, and then, you can resume your swim.
But Mirror Lake is an unbelievable lake. There is no motor traffic in this lake, okay, except for maybe a couple special occasions, but it's crystal clear. You're going to be able to see 10 feet or more in any direction. It's truly an amazing body of water, and it's a great place to swim. It's called Mirror Lake because it's like a mirror. So it's a pretty calm lake usually, but I will bite my tongue so that I don't jinx any of us. Greg, anything on the swim course? I'll go to some tips in a second, but anything we missed specifically on this swim course?
No, Chris and Elizabeth, I would say that we have a great volunteer kayak support crew, as well as stand-up paddleboard. So there's the rafts to rest on. And feel free to grab a kayak if you're feeling nervous or whatever, and they'll usually talk you down. And we usually have them stationed at least every 100 meters. So there's plenty of them out there.
Yeah, good point. And it's a very spectator friendly swim. So those that might be coming to support you will have a good view of you as well. So I mentioned this in terms of tips and strategy. Mirror Lake is extremely calm, clear, and serene. And yes, as Elizabeth already mentioned, there's that underwater cable. It's no big deal if you swim 5, 10, 15 yards wide of it, if you're a little anxious being around a huge group of people. But generally on that second loop, everyone sort of spreads out. And so on that second loop, would be your best opportunity to be on that line without too much chaos. Obviously, when you make your turns, those are usually your bottlenecks of any swim course. So again, if you're not looking to be sandwiched up with people, take a wider turn so you don't get disrupted when you make those turns. I highly, highly recommend that you take advantage of the opportunity to warm up in the water, which that time will be provided for you right there. Okay, so get your blood flowing, take a couple strokes, get acquainted with the water. It will make your swim a lot better. Okay, so if you're anxious, this will help. If there's anything you're worried about, a little warm up will help prepare you. And if you have nothing to worry about, it's just going to prep and prime you to have a good swim. So warm up, know your pace, and seed yourself accordingly. If you're going to swim an hour and a half, don't line up with the people that are swimming 1 hour. Okay. If you're going to swim 1 hour, don't line up with the people that are swimming an hour and 45. Okay. It will just make it a lot easier for everyone if you know where you are. One sort of tip, I would recommend starting slowly and building into your swim. So many times people have a lot of adrenaline and they go, as soon as they get in the water, they take off and they start swimming way too fast for what they can sustain. And then 100 yards, 200 yards into it, their heart rate is through the roof, and they've set themselves up for a challenging swim. So start slow, build into it, find your pace, and go from there. Once again, it's 2 loops. You finish your first one, you're going to run through this arch that you see here on the screen. And when you're done, you're going to run left. When you have to go again, you're going to make a right and go right back into the water. There are wetsuit peelers, so there'll be volunteers to help you pull your wetsuit off, because it is about a half a mile, maybe a little less, transition run. So having that wetsuit off your legs will help you make your way down to transition, which we'll talk about in a second. But here we go.
And bring a speed suit for sure. So there's always the chance that the swim is not wetsuit legal. And in that case, a speed suit is great. I mean, it's just going to help keep, it's not necessarily, sure, it might make you a little bit faster, but to be honest, it just feels really good to not have your kit, like to just be swimming in your kit. It keeps, especially for the women that might have like a tri-top that has maybe a scoop neck, the speed suit just kind of keeps everything in and rather than it kind of, moving around.
The last few years, the water has been on the borderline of wetsuit legal. So that is a nice thing to have with you and not have to worry about week of.
So folks, I'm actually going to peel off now just because I got to get to our kiddos who are coming home from sports practice. But I look forward to seeing you all up in Lake Placid. I wish you all to have the best race. You will definitely see me out there. You can't miss me. I turn into a psychopath on race day. So I'll be the dancing blonde somewhere on the course. So with that, I'll hand it over to Chris for the rest of this. But best of luck to you all. And I hope to see you out there.
All right, here we go. She's off to mom duty. Okay, so you exit the water, right? And here's a look at transition. Finish line to the far right. This is a little older, but it's the same setup. Okay, your expo will be in this big area right here, and then the expo will sort of go away on race day. These tents down here are your changing tents. Okay, so those will be where you'll run in. It will be pretty self-explanatory. And obviously your bikes are right here. But the trip to transition out of the water, it's a little bit of a jog, right? I definitely recommend using the wetsuit peelers to help get your wetsuit off. You have to take it off at some point, so you might as well get assistance and then run a little bit easier down the road and into transition. I'm a big fan of transition. I'm passionate about transition. So transition time counts to your final time. So whether you're trying to get a PR, place in your age group, or just finish before midnight, it all counts. So jog or run through transition. Don't walk. Once you get on your bike and you're moving forward, if you need to catch your breath then, but at least you're moving forward, right? So jog, run towards your bag. You'll pick up your gear bag just like this. They may be on a rack. They may be on the ground. Either way, you're going to look for your blue bag, blue for bike. Okay, you're going to get your bike gear bag, and you're going to bring that into the changing tent for your respective gender, and you're going to change. Whether you have your tri shorts underneath your wetsuit, you want to put on bike shorts, whatever you might want to do, that's your opportunity. But your bike shoes will be in there, your helmet will be in there, sunglasses, any nutrition, anything that you want to keep in there that you would normally have for a regular transition in a race, it would be your bike specific stuff. Okay. I like to say, make sure you know which bag is yours, right? They're all going to look the same. So maybe try to differentiate your bag a little bit. You can put some colored tape on it. Obviously, it will have your race number, your bib number on it. But after you get out of the swim and your heart rate's high, or you've been horizontal for long enough, your brain might not be working perfectly. So a little bright tape might help you find your bag a little bit easier. You're going to, like I said, you're going to run into the changing tent. Don't get too comfortable. That's the worst, especially after the bike in T2, but don't get comfortable. Call for a volunteer and politely ask them to help you and direct them in whatever you need their help for. Okay. So perhaps you have some sunblock in your bag and it's spray sunblock, and you say, hey, can you just spray my back or spray my face? Make sure they do it before you put your sunglasses on, but you can ask these volunteers to help you, right? You don't need to put your stuff back in your bag. The volunteers will do it for you, but don't throw it everywhere. Just keep it in an area, and then they'll return it to that rack for you. You'll run out the other side of that changing tent, and you'll go to grab your bike. If you're lucky, the volunteer at the end of that changing tent will look for your bib number, or you can shout to them your big bib number. And if you're lucky, other volunteers will pull your bike off of the transition rack and have it ready for you. So there is a chance that you don't have to run all the way down that aisle to get your bike when it's time. It might be there waiting for you. Not guaranteed by any means, but if you communicate your bib number, the volunteers can call up ahead and potentially have that ready for you. That'll save a little bit of time. Greg, anything on transition there for T1?
No, I would just say, Chris, pre-race. Do we talk pre-race yet? Pre-race, you can get your water bottle, your bottle fill there. You can get tires pumped there. You can get all sorts of stuff. And that picture is old because we don't have the gear bag racks anymore. So they will be on the ground, but you'll remember where you put them from the day before.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So you have an opportunity to fill your tires. If you need to race morning, you'll have access to your bike, but maybe not your bag. So you can bring your water bottles for your bike, any nutrition you want to put on your bike. If you have a bike computer, bring that the morning of. You don't need to leave that on your bike the day before. Moving on to the bike course. It is challenging, but beautiful. It's a 2-loop course. And like I said, it's accessible and rideable really anytime that you want. It's pretty straightforward. This new little section right here, as of last year, is beautiful, but it's challenging. Okay. And so here's a look at your bike course. If you go up in advance and you want to ride it, there are some files on Garmin Connect that you can load to your GPS if you'd like to have that guidance. But we're going to be looking at, if not the exact same, an extremely similar bike course this year. And so now let's get into some tips for this race. There's my crazy wife, Elizabeth, who just left, who is out and about all day long on race day. But obviously it's hilly, it's unforgiving. So riding it in advance is extremely helpful. Rouvy is good. Being there is 100% better. But if all you can do is ride Rouvy, it's better than nothing. All right. There's nothing very steep on this course. It's more or less a slow burn. Okay. There are some inclines, but really it's things like that last 10 or 12 miles that are a slow and unrelenting ascent back into Lake Placid that can really get you, especially on that second loop. Every year, people are curious, tri-bike or road bike. I've ridden both, not in a race. I personally will pick my tri bike in a race, but I've ridden the loop many, many times on my road bike. It's a different experience. It's nice for sure for climbing, but I think if you are comfortable on a tri bike and you can hold aero position, I would ride your tri bike because there are enough downhills and flats that you'll be moving much faster than you would on a road bike. All right. But ride what you have, or ride what's more comfortable for you. Okay. If you got a tri bike and a road bike, but when you ride your tri bike, you're always on the hoods and not an aero because you're afraid to go down the hill in aero, or you're always reaching up to stretch and you can't really hold aero, maybe the road bike's a better choice. Okay. Tri bike's only good if you're in that position, right? So tri bike is more advantageous, but again, let's go for comfort here because it's 112 miles followed by a run, right? If you're afraid of the climbing, yes, you can get some extra gears, but also something that people don't often think of is having a compact crank set. Basically, what this means is you have your front chain rings usually have 2. Some of them are only a 1 by, and some are 3 by, but generally most of us have 2 front chain rings, a big one and a small one. And if you were to have a compact crank set, you would have less teeth on these smaller or bigger chain rings, which makes it easier to spin your wheels and go up a hill. So I'm not going to get into the technical details of this, but if you're interested or worried about the hills, Google or ask your local bike shop about a compact crank set. Okay. Next, you may have heard about the big descent or the keen descent. Basically, this happens at mile 7.5, depending on any nuances of the course. But at this point, you're going to be going downhill for another 7.5 miles or so. Okay. It is fast. It is windy. You do have a side of the road. When you go to train there, you only have the shoulder, but on race day, you're going to have a car lane also available. All right. This is what is very, very helpful to do in advance. This is what I caution you on riding deep dish race wheels if you're not comfortable with them. It's very unpredictable if there's going to be crosswind, tailwind, headwind. But if there's crosswind and you're going down this hill and you're not comfortable riding those deep dish wheels and you catch a wind, it can be very, very scary. Okay. I will say this. If you are intimidated or a little worried about this hill, take your time going down the hill. Ride your brakes. Ride to the right side. Those that are going faster or know what they're doing, for lack of a better terms, or are, maybe they don't know what they're doing, are riding faster on the left side. So if you're worried, stay to the right, take your time, use your brakes. It's better to be safe than to gain an extra few seconds or a minute. Okay. This is one of the things that helps seeing and riding in advance. Okay. The other thing that I want to point out are that the first 7 to 8 miles of the bike course have the most elevation gain than any other part of the course, except for maybe that little new circle that I showed you about over here. I haven't measured that because it's a nuance, but the first 8 miles or so, it's very deceiving because it's up and it's down and it's up and it's down and it's up until you get to the top of that descent. I'm pointing this out and I want you to listen to me carefully because a lot of people, especially on race day, will get out of the water. They're tapered. They're feeling like Superman or Superwoman, and they go out and they ride a lot faster than what they should or realize that they're riding. And these hills in the first 7 or 8 miles will kick your butt and make you pay big time on the second loop, if not the run. Okay. So take your time, especially on those first 7 miles of the first loop, and do not go hard. Make sure your heart rate is very low. In fact, if people are not passing you, you're probably not going slow enough. Okay. Just keep that in mind. Final 10 miles of each loop, that slow burn back to Lake Placid. It's slow and it's like a tabletop and it keeps climbing and it just gets your legs because you don't get much relief. You get beautiful scenery, but it's just up and it's up and it's up. Okay. Which is why you want to be easy on those first few miles that I was just talking about of the bike loop. Okay. Also, that second loop of the bike course on those final 10 miles, if it wasn't hard enough, there's typically a headwind on that second loop. I kid you not. If there is not a headwind, then the bike will be deemed fast for that day. All right. So hopefully there's not a headwind, but expect that there will be one. Okay. And the later in the day you go, the more chance you're going to have of that headwind. Okay. You'll also run through the cherries, which are just different bumps in the road along the back portion of that bike course. The cherries are a little less known than the bears. The bears are more popular. You have mama bear, baby bear, and then papa bear. Okay. And they're just a few, they're just 3 bumps in the road, in the hill, in the course as you get back to town, finishing that bike course. This picture right here is of Elizabeth on Papa Bear. And you can't really see very well, but people line this section of the course like Tour de France. And there's a lot of energy and it's a lot of fun and it's very cool. Don't get overexcited and pump your way up that hill. Okay. Because again, it will bite you in the butt later in the race, but it's a lot of fun. And that's Papa Bear. It's not anything crazy. It's not anything like you haven't ridden in the Northeast before, but it's a notable hill. It's not very long, but just look forward to it. Okay. There'll be aid stations every 12 to 15 miles. You'll be able to find exactly what are going to be at those aid stations and in the order of which they will be delivered to you in your athlete guide. You can look at last year's guide to get an idea before the 2026 guide comes up. And then halfway through your bike loop, you'll be able to hit your personal needs. Okay. And that'll be right by the oval. All right. Almost exactly halfway through. You can use your personal needs or not. But basically what your personal needs are will be one of those bags that you get, and you can put anything in there that you want. Extra water bottles, nutrition, you can put extra tubes, CO2s, anything like that. And when you pull up to your personal needs for the bike, you'll pull off to the side of the road. You're not going to get off your bike. You're just going to split your bike. So you'll unclip. And then the volunteers will come over because they'll see your bib number and they'll bring your bag. Okay, so you don't have to stop, but if you do, they will bring you your bag. And let's say you might need to restock your water bottles or your nutrition or anything that you might need. They'll give you what you need. You'll leave your bag and you continue on for your second loop. All right, not a big deal, but it's something that is sort of unique to Ironman at this distance. Greg, anything on that bike course that I might have missed along the way?
No, obviously the tragedy of the bike course is if you get a penalty, and if official pulls you over, there are penalty tents that you have to stop at, and they'll explain to you for how long you have to stand and stuff if they catch you drafting or if you're littering. Littering is the third rail of Ironman racing in Lake Placid. So please treat it like it's your backyard, and you don't want to throw garbage out anywhere along the course other than at the aid stations where we can pick it up easily.
Yep. Great point. You can get a penalty if you discard anything, including gel wrappers, anything, anywhere outside of those aid stations. And then certainly don't draft. It's illegal. And if you're not sure exactly what that means, please check the rule book. And if you do get a penalty, serve your time or else you'll probably be DQ'd. Okay. So heads up on that, know the rules and be respectful on where you discard your trash. So,
and getting back to Papa Bear, the spectator viewing areas are fun and it makes it exciting for your friends and family that are there. And in Lake Placid, we've had a couple of big World Cup events. We had a World Cup biking in the fall. We had a World Cup Nordic ski event in just a month ago or so. And I'm not going to say to do this, but one of the bigger features to make things exciting were spectators brought chainsaws. They brought chainsaws to like the special viewing areas, like on the big hills, and they took the blades off, but they made a racket and it made for a lot of fun. So, if you need suggestions for your friends and family, you would be the first ones to bring a chainsaw to Lake Placid for Ironman anyway. It makes a big racket, but it's also a good time.
You didn't hear that from Greg, but people dress up in
Exactly.
costumes. People dress up in costumes. People bring music. Elizabeth's holding a little music box there. It's fun, and it's one of the places we'll recommend if your support crew attends the spectator meeting. So you finished that 112-mile bike, and you couldn't be happier to get off your bike. But oh yeah, you got to run a marathon. But before you do, you're going to get off your bike when you make your way into T2, which is, again, the oval, also where you'll be finishing later on in the day. But you're going to hand your bike to a volunteer. They're going to put it back on the rack for you, so you don't need to do that, all right? A tip I have is once you get off your bike, consider removing your bike shoes and just carrying them with you, or you could just leave them clipped into your bike. But you will have to make your way to your run bag and then into the changing tent. So just not having to click clank with your bike shoes on is helpful and also a little bit faster. Again, jog or run, don't walk. It's free time, it counts. So get in and out of transition. For your run, your bag will be your red bag. Red, run, makes sense, right? But know exactly where it is, know how to find it from the direction that you'll be coming from. So this is something that you can do prior to the race, on Saturday when you check your bike. You can walk to your bags from the different directions that you'll be entering transition. It'll just make it easier to know how to and where to find your stuff. I recommend walking from those different directions because your perspective is different depending on what direction you're coming from, okay? Once again, if you can differentiate your bags with some neon tape or markers or whatever, it'll make it a little bit easier for you to find. You go into that changing tent, sit down, change your shorts or don't, wear your tri shorts, whatever. Don't get comfortable, okay? Reapply that sunblock if you need it. Ask a volunteer for help if you can use them. There'll be porta-johns there, but then go. Get out of there, all right? Don't take your time. Don't get too comfortable. Okay. So then out onto the run course. Last year, Greg and his team made an awesome change to the run course to more or less shorten the amount of time out on River Road, which is this long stretch that I'm tracing right here. River Road is absolutely beautiful. It's one of my favorite places to run. However, there's no spectators out there. Okay. You have lots of aid stations, which they're cheering for you, but it can be a little lonely. So last year we shortened this stretch out on River Road, and we included this little out and back here because this can be spectated and fans and supporters can be around here as well. So it's a pretty simple and straightforward run course. There are 2 notable hills that you'll hit twice. Otherwise, it's rolling. I personally think it's a very fair run, but other people will say it's a very challenging run. But I would say there are 2 notable hills, which would be Mill Hill and then the Steel Bridge Hill, which is right by the horse grounds and where you'll see the ski jumps. Okay. Some tips and strategy. All right. When you come out of transition, it will be a downhill. So this is a picture. You can kind of see this is a downhill. This is fresh out of transition. And this is great because it helps you get your legs underneath of you and find your running legs, but control your speed and your excitement levels. All right. So I would encourage you to try to hold back because way too many times people go out way too hard and they feel great for the first mile, 2 miles, 8 miles for the first half of the race. And then it gets real on the second half, on the final 10 miles, on the final 10K. Control your speed when you're going down that hill. Okay. So like I said, it's mostly rolling, a couple hills, you do twice, know that they're coming. If you're fortunate enough to get there before race day. You'll get to experience those for yourself. Actually, Greg puts on the Lake Placid Marathon that happens in mid-June, and he has a marathon, but also a half marathon option, which is more or less on this run course. So if you're looking for a training weekend or an actual race on the course, that's available. I have the dates and information later on in this presentation, as well as some other useful tidbits. But again, running the course in advance helps, but it's not a super challenging run, in my opinion. Make sure you stay on your nutrition, right? Hydration, calories, electrolytes. If you don't have a plan for this, it's going to bite you in the butt, okay? If you do a little of this and a little of that and eat this and that, it's not going to work as well as it could, okay? If you need help with your nutrition, please reach out to us. Again, Elizabeth is an expert. She does these nutrition consults all the time, and they make a huge difference, okay? But just make sure you stay on your nutrition. It's very important. Aid stations, every mile or so, you'll have your fluids, you'll have your calories, and a bunch of other snacks and goodies there. I recommend not taking all of the snacks and goodies unless that's what you train on, okay? So, or unless you're super desperate. But I would stick to what you know works, what is repeatable. We like to create a 1 hour plan that is just repeated, something that you've done in training and that you know your gut can handle, and that you know you're getting everything in that you need to keep you going at your best ability. But stay on your nutrition. You have those aid stations. They're there. You have great volunteers every single year. Similarly to your bike, halfway through your run, you'll have your personal needs. You may or you may not need it, but you can put anything in this bag, whatever it may be, extra nutrition, whatever, new socks, a special treat, I don't know, Band-Aids, some anti-chafe perhaps, but you can stop and pull over to the side of the road halfway through your run to get any of this stuff if you need it, okay? And it goes without saying, but Ironman is a very physically demanding sport, but mental toughness is going to pay off big, and especially on the run, okay? So mental toughness is not something that you either have or you don't. It is something that you practice in training. So I advise that you do. I put a lot of great stuff on this on our Instagram because I'm a big believer in it, and it can really make a big difference in your race. Greg, anything for the run that I missed?
No, Chris, run, obviously, I kind of like to promote it for your spectators, for your friends and family. There's a bunch of great spots they can watch you at. One is at the top of Mill Hill, where we have a DJ every year. Once we change the bike course, we have a DJ dresses up as a robot and light it all up. The bottom of Mill Hill at Lisa G's, where Run Aid Station 1 is. It's always a fun time. It's always a party, and it's just a great time. Don't get excited, like Chris said, coming out of transition. If you hear the music blasting and you're running downhill, like you're not going to be win the London Marathon in under 2 hours running down that hill just because you have all the music and it's exciting.
Yeah, it's definitely a party there on what is referred to as Mill Hill. And if you're unsure of which hill I'm talking about, it's the one that sucks the most. But you get a lot of crowd support. You got the music going, and honestly, you're just going to do it. Okay. And if you have to walk up that hill, you can walk up, but whatever it takes, right? All right. So other tips, we're moving on past the course here, a couple more slides, and then we'll take questions if we have it. I'm going a little longer than I expected, but all good information here. So in Lake Placid and for race day, it's typically cool in the morning. All right. So pay attention to the weather. Make sure you dress appropriately, dress in layers. Like you might want to dress nice and warm to go to transition in the morning to put whatever else you need to put on your bike. And perhaps you want arm warmers or a jacket that you'll peel off on the bike. But remember, it does warm up. And usually the afternoon, it gets warm. So it starts cool and it usually gets hot but make sure you're aware of the weather and you plan accordingly for it. Okay. Regardless of what the weather says, you will see the sun probably, and it will likely rain. I remember a few years ago, there was 0% chance of rain. And yes, it downpoured for at least 10 minutes. It just happens. So expect yourself to get wet. It'll come, it'll go, but you're going to just keep moving forward. Control your excitement levels. All right. There's a lot of great crowd support. And then there's sections where you're a little lonely, but make sure you follow your race execution plan, your pacing strategy, whether it's power or heart rate or whatever, and just control your excitement levels so that you can make it all the way to the end feeling good and ready to cross that finish line. I tell this to the athletes that we coach, those that attend our camps, but be present, okay? This is your day. Everyone is cheering for you. Unlike other sports where there's a winner and a loser, everyone wants to see you be successful, okay? So make sure you're present. Take it in. It's going to go by really fast. If you've been married, your wedding goes by really fast. If you have kids, it goes by really fast on that day that they were born. So make sure you kind of sit back in your mind and just take it all in. You may or you might not do it again, but you're doing it on that day. So enjoy it, okay? You earned it, all right? Then you get to that finish line, right? Sprint down the chute if you want, or just jog and just look around and take it in. Think about what you're going to do for your finish line photo. Make sure you smile. Do whatever you want to do to celebrate what you just earned, okay? But I can't emphasize enough, when you enter that oval for your final eighth of a mile or so, just make sure you look around and take it all in, okay? Maybe it's not a good time to sprint. Take it in. It's pretty epic. It's pretty amazing. You're in the Olympic speed skating oval, okay? Make sure you thank your volunteers throughout the day. They're there for you. They're not getting paid. They're there to make your day as magical and as successful as it can be, okay? So ultimately, be grateful. There's so many other people that do not have the means or the ability to do what you're doing, okay? It sounds corny, but it's the reality. Very, 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 very few people do what you've set out to do, okay? By circumstances that they might not even be able to control, okay? So be grateful for what you're able to do. It doesn't matter how fast or slow you're going. You're going to do something that's pretty darn incredible that almost no one else does, a very small percent, okay? So enjoy it. Just a couple quick things here. These races that I want to just kind of plug. You got a Mother's Day 10K coming up if you want to get to Lake Placid. This will not be on the actual course, but it's in Lake Placid on the brand new rail trail, which is super cool. And while you're there, obviously you can do some training, you can get on the course. Here's the Lake Placid Marathon and Half Marathon, which I was talking to you about. I have links here to find more information. Obviously, you can just Google it. Greg is your man in charge here. Then for training and race weekends, if you're looking for something for your, friends or family to do, you have the Bike Lake Placid, which is renting gravel bikes or e-bikes to go on this rail trail I was telling you about. Rail trail is super cool. It basically goes from Lake Placid all the way to Tupper Lake, and there's some stop-offs in between. So about 7 or 8 miles down the road, you can stop at this really cool brewery called River Trail, have a bite to eat, a drink maybe, and if you have an e-bike, it will be an easy return trip. Mirror Lake Boat Rentals. This is located right on the lake, and it's not your motorized boats, but you have paddle boats, you have stand-up paddle boards, different self-propelled, aquatic devices, which are a lot of fun. I would save it for you, the athlete, after the race. But your friends and family might have a blast being out on the lake. Again, Mirror Lake is incredibly scenic and serene. And that's a great way to just hop out on the lake for a little bit. You have your Lake Placid legacy sites here, your Olympic Training Center, the iconic jumping complex, Whiteface Mountain, Mount Van Hovenberg, which is where the bobsled, skeleton and luge track is. They also have your cross country and Nordic Center. Again, there's Lake Placid still hosts World Cup events, so these venues are in tip-top shape. In fact, they were just updated a couple years ago. Very cool to check out. Another one here is High Falls Gorge. This is something that you'll pass on the bike loop, but a very, very cool, scenic, very easy walk, hike that anyone can do of any ability. There's a million other things. I just put this together literally about 2 hours ago. But there's a lot of great stuff in the area. I wanted to put some restaurants and stuff on here. I didn't have a chance, but check that stuff out. Here's our information. Okay. Elizabeth and I, we've been doing it since 2010. We've been fortunate to make it our sole job in our profession since then. We do it because we love it. If you have questions, email us. If you feel like we might be able to help you, let us know. Otherwise, you can check out our website, follow us on social. And for anyone interested in a private nutrition consult, reach out. We're offering 10% through the end of May. It's incredibly valuable. We help people every year from across the country and Canada. So if you're unsure with what you're doing or what your plan or it hasn't worked well in the past, give us a shout. Also, again, our training camps, we do have a little bit of space left in our May and our June camp, but we'd love for you to join us. It'll be our 50th camp in Lake Placid. No, 50th camp overall this June. So we've been doing these for a while, so you can expect a well-organized and professional experience. So we'd love for you to join us. Anyway, that's all for me. If there are questions, please speak up and ask. In the meantime, I'm gonna look at some of these things I found in the chat here. But if you have questions, please unmute yourself, and we'll keep questions to 10 minutes just out of respect of time. I'm looking at the chat here. Alan asked if there are any local groups to bike or run with. So yes, okay. High Peak Cyclery and Placid Planet are the two bike shops in town. So I would reach out to them. They're always going out on different rides around the area. Also, High Peaks Cyclery has a mini triathlon series that happens on Monday evenings in the summer. I don't think they start until mid-June or so, but again, High Peak Cyclery, okay, they do the mini tries. They also have bike rides as well as Placid Planet, so you can check them out. If you're not in the Lake Placid, the Facebook, it's Ironman Lake Placid 2026. It's a Facebook group. It is not run by Ironman. It's run by myself and another gentleman. But if you're looking for training partners or people to, connect with while up there, people are often looking for a company. So you can do that. And obviously the training camps, Alan, yes, you're going to be coming to camp. We're excited to have you. I know you're traveling and we're excited to welcome you. James, I see you got your hand raised. Do you have a question? You can unmute yourself and speak up.
Yes, a question about the personal needs bags. If you don't use everything that's in the bag, is that just tossed or do you get that bag back?
So Greg, why don't you take this? You will have an opportunity to get that stuff back. And actually Greg is trying to help increase the odds of that happening.
Yeah, Chris, so your personal needs bags are placed and they're not secure. Historically, they're not secure. This year, we're trying to change that. and collect the bags and put them in a truck to secure them overnight. And we may drive them to the Oval, and you can pick them up. You can pick everything up until 11 o'clock on Monday morning. But last year, somebody came and just rifled through all the special needs bags and annoyed me to no end. Somebody basically stole everybody else's stuff, and they didn't give them the opportunity. So this year we're changing things up, and we're gonna ask the volunteers to put the personal needs bags in a box truck at the end of the bike and the run, and that way or after the first lap of the bike and run, and that way they'll be secured overnight, and you'll be able to. It might be a little time consuming to rifle through it all on Monday morning, but they'll be available to come get. But we suggest you don't put anything of value. Don't put your car keys, don't put your wallet, don't put your hotel room keys in your personal needs bags, because they're not technically secure, and we don't know if you'll actually get them back. We're going to do our best to do that. But historically, other races, they just throw them out after race day. But we have over the years allowed people to come recover their stuff. Anything that's not recovered, we donate to charity. That's why we hate it when.
Thank you.
So guys, it's not guaranteed, and we generally advise our athletes or campers to not put anything of value in there. If you don't return to pick up an extra tube or a CO2, it's not the end of the world. But if you were to put like your really nice Castelli bike jacket in there, you might not get it. Again, Greg and his team are working to make sure everyone will get their stuff, but it's not guaranteed. Any other questions?
And while we're waiting for questions, Chris, a couple of things I forgot to mention. Last year and the year before, we had mortal hydration out on the bike course, and it did not get a huge rave reviews. So we've switched to a company called Precision Hydration, and that's going to be our liquid on the bike course and the run course. As well as we have a new executive team, and the COO who was the race director at Kona is taking over, Diana Birch, and she's been great, and she's just asking us to enhance our Ironman experiences. And all the full distance Ironmans now will have a ramp at the finish line. So when Chris was talking about taking it easy at the finish line, you're going to have to run uphill, and then you're going to have to go downhill to get once you cross the finish line. So no sprinting up the ramp, because I don't know. We're actually going to do a pool of how many people are going to trip and fall on the backside. So please, be aware that it's not a flat finish anymore.
That's good advice, and that'll be really cool. Okay, better pictures, better experience. I think that's a very nice addition. I see a question here from Sharon. She said, "Is the practice swim for athletes only?" No, it's not, and it'll be Saturday morning, I believe, from 8 to I think 9:30. But remember, Domingo the Flamingo will be out there from 8 until like 11. So we'll be there kicking with some music and coffee. But the official practice swim, it will be listed in the athlete guide, but anyone's welcome. The kids race, Brian was wondering about the kids race. You'll get communication about that as you get closer to the race, Brian, and you'll be able to sign up through that. In many cases, you can just walk up to the beach, because it'll take place right near right on Mirror Lake Drive, across from the Lake Placid pub, next to the tennis courts. You can typically just sign up right there on place, but if you want to sign up in advance, there'll be communication coming out as you get closer to the race.
Yeah, and I just double checked, Chris. If you go to Google Iron Kids Lake Placid, there's a chance to register now, because we have a dip and dash as well as just a run. And the dip and dash sells out every year because we limit it, but we only have a certain number of spaces in transition. So sign up now if you want to guarantee your kid a spot for the dip and dash, and the run will be open constantly. But the sooner you sign up, the better chances we have of ordering proper shirts and all that stuff. So we appreciate that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Dip and dash definitely sells out.
Yeah.
Greg, I don't know if you know this. Someone's asking, do you know, I think this might be outside of your
Yeah, I'm not sure about Ruby.
Yeah.
You'd have to Google that. I don't know. Maybe Elizabeth can do a little research on that, but I'm not sure.
Brian, that would be a great question to ask on the Ironman Lake Placid 2026 Facebook group. I personally use Zwift, so I can't really speak to that intelligently. But I'm confident someone in that group would be able to help you out. Let's see. Water fill in the tents during transition. Greg, do you know if you're able to refill water bottles?
Yep, we'll have a run out water bottle, and we'll also have on the bike course in the morning. Obviously, we'll have a bottle fill prior to you go down to the beach for the swim, so you can fill your water bottle. You don't have to bring a full water bottle when you check your bike on Saturday. You can fill it up on Sunday morning.
Jonathan's wondering if there's any tips on how to avoid interfering with the pros on the swim and the bike. So, Jonathan, the pros are going to go off in advance of the age groupers. Okay. And they're going to be instructed to swim on the inside lane of the swim course. Okay. So just inside the buoys. So you shouldn't be, having any run-ins with them. And then out on the bike, if they were to pass you, let's say on their second loop while you're doing your first, okay, just you should be riding to the right side of the road anyway. Right. And they'll say if you're not on the right side of the road, then you should be passing someone, but they'll also yell on your left as they pass you. But don't worry about the pros. They're going to swim right around you. Okay. Or if you're a very good swimmer, then they'll be swimming right with you. So just make sure you guys stay to the left of that buoy line. The pros are going to take that inside track, especially on their second loop. They're going to go off first and have an unobstructed first loop, but that second loop, they're going to be shooting on the inside of those buoys. It shouldn't be a concern. Any other questions, guys?
And if you're fast and you're swimming with the pros, you'll be on TV on the broadcast because this is the pro race that'll be broadcast and it'll be on the Jumbotron. So, make sure you look good. Hair and makeup.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap that up. I will be sending out a recap. You have my information right here. Follow us on social. I'd love for you to follow us. If you see us on race weekend, whether it's Domingo de Flamingo or on the beach on race morning or on the hype cart during the run, give us a shout. We're here to support you. We want you to have the best experience possible. I hope you have a great race. Get in your training, do the work, and race day is going to be a celebration. It's going to be hard, but you can do hard things, and it's all going to be worth it at that finish line. I promise you that. So we'll see you. We'll also be, we'll be at Happy Valley. If anyone's going to be at Happy Valley, we'll be at Happy Valley, 70.3. We'll also be at Muscle Man, which is probably a little too soon before Lake Placid, but